Somebody say good, how are you? Were you talking to me or were you talking to somebody else? Normally you don't get a response. That's so nice. I'm really excited to be here today to be talking about a topic that I think is often very much overlooked in B2B advertising, and that is the power of your brand's reputation. Now, you can see the title of this is Enter Your B2B Brand's Reputation Era. Obviously, it's a reference to Taylor Swift. Do we have any Swifties in the audience today? Got one. Do we have anybody whose children are Swifties in the audience today? All right, we had more than those. Now I know who I'm talking to, which I appreciate. I think that there's something that we can all learn from Taylor Swift when it comes to B2B marketing. On her album Reputation, she has a song called Delicate, where she says, "This ain't for the best. My reputation couldn't be worse, so you must like me for me." And you know who's never said that before? The CEO of a B2B company. Your reputation matters so much, and it's really, really powerful. I'm John Zucker. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Mountain, and today we're going to be talking about the impact of your reputation and how you can use it to drive tangible results for your business. So we're going to start with talking about why your reputation is essential, not just from a top funnel perspective, but all the way towards its power to the bottom of the funnel. Next, we'll talk about connected TV and how it's a fantastic channel for building the reputation that you need to deliver results for your business. Third, we'll be talking about how to factor AI into your creative process. Now, I know you probably hear the phrase AI in every single talk today. Feel free to get your eye rolls out now. I think that you're actually going to like this perspective. And then finally, we'll do a case study of a heartfelt B2B strategy that ended up building a brand's reputation and having a really significant impact on the bottom of their funnel. So reputation, it's more than just a Taylor Swift album that I've already referenced. I think these two stats are really, really powerful, and they're something that every single marketer should know. The first is from a Harvard Business Review study. The second is from an eMarketer white paper. The first, 90% of B2B buyers select a brand in their initial consideration set. I want you to think about that for a second. A B2B buyer, if they don't know you before they know that they have to know you, then you already basically lost the sale. The second one, when buyers weigh their options, reputation is the second most important factor in that buying decision. Not your product, not what your product does, if it's better than your competitors, your reputation. So that's why reputation is so important. If you don't have a strong one, it doesn't put you in that initial consideration set, and it isn't the main thing that'll put you over the finish line to make that sale later. As we all know, sales is only part of the equation. You can't rely solely on your sales team to build up that reputation. You need strong marketing. This is a pretty sobering stat, but B2B buyers only spend 17% of their total purchase journey with a sales rep. Said differently, 83% of the time that your customer is thinking about making a purchase from you, they are not talking to a seller. Your reputation literally needs to precede yourself in order to be impactful. As millennials, we want even less. Now, this stat, a little bit more sobering, 44%, so almost half of millennials want zero interaction with a sales rep. I'm sorry about that. I am a millennial. I have a lot of empathy for this. Both of my parents are in sales. I was raised in a household of sales. If they cold called me, I would absolutely answer, but that's only because they spent 32 years building a fantastic reputation with me. Thank you so much. A fun fact, almost 100% of sales reps did not coach my Little League baseball team. And so you need another way to build a reputation with your buyers. Millennials were the largest working generation today, so this is really important now. Now, what can you do to elevate your reputation? Well, a fantastic channel for that is connected TV. Now, we sip our own champagne. And when I say that, Mountain is a software. We transform connected TV into a performance marketing channel. At the end, I'll talk about what we do. But the reason I bring it up is because we use connected TV in our own demand gen. 25% of our site traffic comes from connected TV campaigns that we run through our own platform. We walk the walk and we talk the talk because we know the power of connected TV. It adds prestige, and it also gives you the impact of 15-second, 30-second, non-skippable storytelling that you just don't get on other channels. You absolutely need paid search. It's fantastic. You're getting people who are right now considering to buy. But if that's the first time they're hearing about you, they better click on your ad because that's your one shot of getting in that consideration set. If you don't have a reputation, it's going to be tough. Paid social also can be impactful, but it's a lot harder to gather that attention. It's a scroll-first environment, whether it's on a computer or maybe your mobile phone, you have 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds to catch them. That's going to be tough. There's really nothing that replaces the power of full-screen video that's non-skippable to get in front of your buyers. Now, connected TV offers the best of both worlds. You get the prestige of linear TV. You're around fantastic premium narrative programming, premium live programming on TV. You kind of feel like a more legitimate brand, for lack of a better word. But you also get the pipes of digital, which is really important because we all have budgets that are constantly under scrutiny. It's just the reality of being a B2B marketer. And so you have the measurement that you need to be able to make sure you understand that your ads are delivering site traffic and actual leads that are actually closing. You can see what audiences are you targeting. You can set that up from the top. Are you targeting the right CEOs? Are you targeting B2B decision makers at the right size companies who actually have decision-making influence, who have past purchase from different SaaS companies, different software companies? Being able to control that delivery but get the prestige of television is a really, really powerful medium for building that reputation. Now, measurement, as we all know, is a top concern amongst marketers this year, as it was last year, as it has been since Gutenberg invented the printing press. Measurement will always matter, and you get that with connected TV. You get it in 2 ways. One is the way to actually look at the way that you're making sure you're maintaining your reputation. You want to know what networks you're delivering on. That's really important. You can do that with connected TV. You can do A/B testing with different creatives to make sure you understand what's resonating with your customers. And when I say A/B testing, it's A/B testing understanding how they're actually reacting. Somebody's watching your messaging and then they're visiting your site as a direct result of watching that ad. And there's attribution today that allows that to be possible. In the past, video is a little bit less reliable when it came to attribution. Maybe you'd say somebody who visited in the last 30 days after watching your ad, they were somebody who came from TV, when in reality, they just clicked through your Facebook ad. Now, there's attribution models like Mountain has verified visits, where you can actually look at UTM parameters, make sure that somebody's not watching your ad and then clicking through Facebook, but they're actually watching your ad, visiting your site directly after watching your ad, to make sure that that is actually properly attributed. I think that's really important for decision making. Brand safety. Brand safety is really important for reputation. I know that's not a hot take, but I think it's worth saying anyway. CTV is a brand safe environment. You can control the networks you're running on. Again, premium content that we can all trust. I don't have to tell you that there's been issues on Twitter, Google specifically with YouTube over the years. It can kind of be a bit of a mixed bag knowing where you're running. With CTV, you spend less time worrying about where you're running, and you can feel more time actually developing your strategy to reach the right audience to deliver value for your business. One thing in particular, just to keep in mind, not all CTV is made equal. Obviously, there's CTV that is an extension of linear TV. It is streaming actually network-grade content. There are going to be other providers who come into the space. They might offer you dirt cheap CPMs, but what are you actually going to be running on? Is it going to be this long tail channels that are made by independent creators that just happen to be on CTV? They can get a little bit funky in their design. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Premium content is important to maintain that brand safety and your reputation. Now, AI is here. It's evolving. If everybody wants to take a second again, just get your eye roll out now. We'll move on. But it's already integrated into your day-to-day life. We already know that. Things on connected TV is just like on Facebook, just like on Google search. There's automated optimizations happening on the back end where AI is making sure that your ad is being delivered to the right person who's most likely to take action after you've launched your campaign. At Mountain, we're now bringing that into the front end, where you can actually have AI pre-build a campaign for you. It can automatically look at your website, understand what services you're offering, and then find people across 120 million households who have a high likelihood of then converting after seeing your ad. So it's definitely coming fast and furious in the AI, in the audience space. But when we talk about creative, I think it's really important to understand that we are still in the early stages. Generative AI, it's got a lot of power to create, but it's still early, especially when we talk about video. There's facts that it gets wrong. It's also not quite there. I'll say I was using another platform just for a personal project, and I was trying to get a video of a woman running. My wife's a marathon runner, and I wanted to make something cool for her Instagram. I just typed in woman running, and I did get like one of those, like these, you know? It wasn't quite there yet, but it's moving quickly. I think that something that we all need to keep in mind is even when we can generate video, there's still heart that needs to be behind it. There's a human touch because people need to connect with your message and with your story. Your brand is your story. And AI right now can't create a story that quite replicates what the human spirit can. And so there needs to be a relationship between people and AI as that continues to develop. Now, I think this is a really good example. Guesty is a software management company for short-term vacation rentals. They're a B2B advertiser. They work with us on CTV. And a lot of connected TV ads can be pretty technical, pretty dry, not very engaging. You know, you're watching so many fun ads on TV all the time from B2C brands, and you're not getting the same from B2B brands. But that doesn't have to be the case. So I want to play this video. I think they did a great job of understanding their customers' pain points and bringing it to life with humor, and in so doing, building a good, solid, memorable reputation. Pretty solid, right? Pretty good. I think that what they did super well here, and what we can all learn from there, is they set up the customer's problem, they related to them, but they didn't just say, hey, we know that sometimes there's damages that can happen that cost you a bunch of money. We can fix that problem. They showed that problem. They were able to show something that they could really relate to, and that only comes from a person sitting down, understanding the business, and then bringing it to life from there. Something that's really interesting to me is this commercial obviously is designed to build a really strong brand, solve a customer problem, but build that reputation. But what it ended up having was an actual down funnel impact on their business. Now, they bucked the tradition of B2B kind of cold technical ads, and they were able to then deliver real results. So first of all, I want to say the 26% number is mislabeled. They actually had a cost per acquisition goal, and they were 26% under that cost per acquisition goal. So highly efficient campaign, and they actually delivered their site traffic 68% more efficiently than their target. And what was really interesting to me is that they did a comparison between their connected TV campaign and their YouTube campaign. And one thing they found was their cost per leads were actually significantly lower than they were on YouTube, and they were able to drive them at a much higher volume. What this is telling me is by being on premium content, non-skippable environment, full screen, showing your brand in a unique way, building that reputation, it really did have a strong down funnel impact that built their business and delivered significant growth. So this year is going to be a year for the books for connected TV. 92% of B2B buyers plan to increase or maintain their connected TV budgets this year. I think it's really important for everybody in this room to know that, because if reputation is what ends up delivering down funnel results, and we know that your competitors in the room are doing so, you need to be able to stand out. There's no longer the world where we can just rely on PPC, we can just rely on display. You need to build a brand because the brand will ultimately end up delivering you the down funnel results. And so today's key takeaways, just say one more time, a B2B brand is only as good as its reputation. While B2B buyers, they spend a fraction of their time actually talking to your sales rep. Again, only 17% of the time. So you need to have a reputation that precedes you in order to close the deal. Second, connected TV helps B2B brands stay in that ever important initial consideration set in a brand safe environment. Again, if you're not in that initial consideration set, you have almost zero chance of actually closing that business. And finally, generative AI will continue to develop and help B2B brands create assets, but at the same time, you need the human heart behind those assets in order to build a brand and ads that resonate. And so thank you so much for your time. Happy to answer some questions. Yes, in the front. No. This is you. I hate dead air, so that was great.
So my biggest thing with CTV is tracking, right? How do we know that the TV is just not on or it's running in the background? You know, how do, like for the guestie, there's, you know, it says get started, but there's no QR code, there's no, you know, they can't click on it, they can't, you know, so how honestly are you able to attribute directly back to, you know, your campaign that you're running on CTV? I mean, to me, I look at CTV as awareness. It's an awareness play. It's, you know, we're all over the place on all CTV, but, you know, when my CMO comes to me and says, well, how's it doing? What did we get from CTV? What did we get from Hulu? What did we get from, you know, it's like, we got impressions and we got this, we got that, but how do you really, you know, prove that?
That is my favorite question. And did everybody hear that question? I just want to make sure everybody in the room heard that question. That has been the problem with CTV for a long, long time. And I completely agree that it is a problem on 90% of the platforms that you can deliver CTV ads on. So you brought up Hulu as an example. Fantastic to get your ads on TV, deliver impressions. What is the actual impact of that ad exposure? It's pretty much impossible to know. I mean, there's some wonderful third-party attribution platforms that can estimate that, but that's going to be difficult. With the company that I work for, Mountain, that was the main problem that we sought out to solve, and we've started building that since 2018. This is why we developed what we call verified visits, an attribution model that's unique to us. This isn't a moment to brag, but it is to say that we actively want to address that problem because it is an important problem.
It's expensive, for one. I mean, just CTV, depending on where you're advertising, and UTMs, you know.
Well, it's not, first of all, it's not just UTMs. Agree that it can be expensive, but again, it's depending on where you're running. If you're not targeting the right audience, if you're not optimizing towards the right person who's actually going to take action after watching your ad, absolutely, it's expensive. It can be a spray and pray environment. But if you're targeting decision makers, you're targeting your buyers who work at the right size company, who have the right roles, the right decision-making influence, you're setting yourselves up, you know, from the start in a really strong way. But then with verified visits, what's really important is you have an attribution model that is actively built to only take credit where credit is due. And when I say that is, you need to have some semblance of causality. A TV ad gets shown in your environment, in your room, and somebody can watch it, right? And if they don't watch it, let's say they're just skipping it, they're not looking at anything, they're not going to take action. It's not going to be a performance channel. They shouldn't visit your site because they weren't influenced. Let's say that they have it off on silent, and later they get your Facebook ad or your LinkedIn ad or your Google ad. They click through it, or another marketing referral source. It could be organic as well. Your email campaign is CTA in there. TV shouldn't get credit. It didn't make an actual impact. The reason that we created verified visits is because we need to look at every single marketing referral source to make sure that there is that causality. So we only take credit if somebody watches a TV ad, there's no other marketing referral source that was clicked, and then they visited your site and took an action. If there's any other interruption, then obviously CTV didn't make that influence. Just to address really quickly the price and the cost of connected TV. So if you're just delivering impressions, like you said, you're thinking about it from an awareness perspective, absolutely, that can be expensive. But if you're thinking about it from a performance lens, if you're actually judging it based off of cost per acquisition, if you're judging it based off of cost per site visit, let's say you're trying to get somebody to your site, again, so you can be in that initial consideration set later, those are the two metrics that you should be judging that channel on, just like you would on Facebook, just like you would on any performance channel. If you're hitting your cost per lead goals, if you're hitting your cost per acquisition, your cost per visit goals on this channel as TV or any other channel, then you can look at them apples to apples and feel comfortable with the price. Because it's not just the price of an impression, it's the price of an action. Cool. Is there, really quick before I address, is that? Okay, cool. I saw your hand first.
So I'm curious, how do you go about selling it to executives where the perception is they see CTV as the acronym, right? And automatically they fixate on TV. Traditional marketing models versus the digital first experience behind the scenes.
Absolutely. So I think there's two ways I'll say that we do so and that we empower other marketers to do so, because I know that's always the toughest thing is selling internally versus selling externally. First of all, the way that we actually brand ourselves is performance TV. We were the first platform to do so, but there are other platforms that are now taking that branding on. And to put the word performance in there, I think is important when you're talking to your executive. You're saying it's not TV. The outcome is that you're actually trying to drive something that will have an impact on your bottom line. Talking about measurability, I think, is really important. Saying, hey, this is TV, but we're actually going to be evaluating it based off the same KPIs that we're looking at for all of our other performance marketing campaigns. On top of all of that, I'll say Mountain specifically, we have an incrementality report. And so being able to say, we can test this. There's no upfront contracts. It's strictly like you can turn it on, turn it off, just like any other platform. We're going to give it a shot, see, prove out its incremental value, and then we can commit, whatever budget we want to from there. So making sure it's, they understand how you're evaluating it, but also that there's not really a risk in giving it a shot. So we have two levers right now. One is a bit more traditional. So this is using integrated segments from LiveRamp and other data providers to be able to build your audience. You can target people by role type, by their company, by their decision-making capabilities. There's literally decision-making influencer versus decision maker. Past purchasing behavior. Have they purchased from, let's say you're a cybersecurity company for B2B advertisers, have they purchased from that in the last 30 days, 6 months, what have you? So there's just a ton of options that way. There's a way to customize your first-party data, so you can retarget audiences based off not just did they visit your site, did they visit multiple pages, how long did they stay on your site, to make sure that you're spending your retargeting budget on people who are actually qualified audiences, not just people who might be high bounce rate audiences. You can target your CRM lists as long as you have privacy compliance. In order to be able to remarket to those lists, you can upload those to television, and do that as well. Typically, if you already have their consent to market on email, it's kind of usually a blanket situation, but double check with your legal team. This is not legal advice. And then finally, it's also by geolocation. And with us, you can go down to the radius level. So if you want to say a specific household in the radius there, a DMA nationally, what have you. The second way, and this is something that's admittedly pretty new for us, is this system we call Mountain Matched, where we actually have AI will analyze your website. It'll understand what your service is and typically what you're actually selling. It'll analyze 120 million households across multiple unique databases based off of their shopping behavior. So shopping behavior being what websites are they visiting, who are similar companies, their most relevant interests, and then events, but that's more so relevant for B2C advertisers. And it'll automatically build you an audience of your highest intent users. So you have both ways of being able to target your audiences today. There's other things that we are developing over the next 2 months, but if I talked about it right now in this forum, I would get in a lot of trouble. So I'm not going to do that. You first, and then we'll circle back around.
So do you guys simply post, or is there capabilities for you to build? So like, say you want to do an ad, do we have to come to you with the ad already created? Or is that something that your team can help develop?
Great question. We actually own a company called QuickFrame. QuickFrame is a leading, well, it's actually, like, I would call the premier fast turn video creation platform. And so you can come to us without any ads, and we'll set you up with a really efficient process for building an ad from scratch. You'll have your creative team will still have control over what the messaging is, but all production will be handled for you, all project management will be handled for you, and it's a really efficient price. On top of that, once you've proved out the value of connected TV and performance TV with Mountain, if you'd like to commit to a longer-term contract, we have this program called Creative as a Subscription. And the way that works is basically just for a long-term contract, a one-year contract of a commitment, you actually get ads created for you every quarter. And then that's just done at no additional cost beyond what you spend on media. That program has been really cool. What I really like about it is, again, you have full creative control over your messaging, but you just save money on your production costs, and then you can reinvest that into hardworking media. So we saw there's this, it's a B2C brand, but they, this brand called Rumple, they used Creative as a Subscription. They were able to save about $500,000. Well, actually, sorry, they were able to save like a couple $100,000 and then turn that into over $500,000 of added revenue just by reinvesting the production costs. Sure. You raise your hand for a second time first, and then we'll come back.
What's the benefit of working with you guys versus our media agency? Like booking CTV through our media agency versus working with you directly?
Sure. So we're a self-serve platform, and I would say it just depends on what your goals ultimately are. If your goals are to deliver performance, our platform is going to do that for you. It's fully optimized to do that. So if your goal is lead gen, if it's site traffic, use us. That said, we have a lot of agencies who just use our software. So a lot of times what will happen is we'll speak with people like you, and you refer us to your agency, and now they can use us as a platform. And what's really nice about that, especially if you're outsourcing your media strategy, is they can connect. We're fully integrated with Google Analytics, so they can integrate us and measure us alongside their other performance channels, and then make their strategic budget, allocations across channels accordingly. Cool. Did you still have a question? I know you raised your hand before.
Working with agencies, do you white label, or is it always going to be Mountain represented?
That's a great question. I think for the most part, agencies use our software. It's really up to them with how they want to present the use case of the software. Most of the time, we're not building a white labeled platform. We have in the past, for what it's worth. There are many agencies, though, they'll manage the entire media spend, and they'll just say, this is how I invested your CTV ads, and they won't talk about Mountain. Yes?
I am an agency with a seat on multiple DSPs, so why, when I'm planning a campaign and looking at different DSPs, why Mountain for CTV? What's different?
It's a great question. It's a question we get all the time. I understand that sometimes it can be a little irksome to then, outsource a portion of your budget to another platform. Just the reality of working with DSPs in past lives and, just analyzing DSPs today. DSPs are built, when it comes to videos, DV specifically, to be fantastic reach drivers. They're great upper funnel supports. You can activate on specific networks, and you can deliver ads really well. It's not built to optimize CTV to deliver down funnel performance. And I say that kind of in two ways. There's backend optimization levers. I won't name names, but there are some DSPs that I'm sure you're probably working with. I will not say that, sir. Very, very well known. They have proprietary AI that optimizes campaigns. It optimizes TV campaigns for incremental reach on top of linear. It's not optimizing towards actually down funnel, consumer intent. And when I say consumer intent, it's people who are most likely to actually visit your site and convert. Mountain is specifically built to optimize your TV ad delivery for people who are going to visit your site and convert. So if that's your ultimate KPI with your TV campaigns, it makes sense to put it in a platform that's built for that. I would say on top of that, attribution is another big part. When it comes to DSPs, there's usually multiple attribution models, but none of them are doing the automated marketing referral source parameter analysis that Mountain is doing. So it's a lot harder to attribute the success of your TV ads versus maybe the display ads that are running alongside it, or native ads, or whatever else you're running. Also happy to get more into that later because it's kind of a complex answer, of course. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I'm still curious about the button. She brought up earlier, like, people don't click on their TVs.
Yes.
Curious about how that works. If it was to get started. And that works in YouTube, on TV, that works, but it doesn't work on Hulu. How do you recommend that? What's the call?
Oh, the specific call to action because you can't click on a TV. So I would say specifically, we have a bunch of best practices just from running thousands and thousands of campaigns. Typically, we recommend having your logo present in one corner, having your website URL present in another corner, ending with an end card that specifically has a call to action written out of like visit now, whatever deal is on there, and usually people A/B test different deals, and then again the URL where they go.
Because I guess you didn't have the URL.
They didn't, which admittedly I didn't want to like call out a company for not following all the best practices, but you're absolutely right. It would have probably been more effective had they had their actual URL. What I will say, they did a really good job of having their logo present for the back half pretty much the entire time. So that was something they did really well that I also haven't seen done as consistently as it probably should be done. Yes.
QR codes up there.
You can.
What is the rates of success of that? Do you scan them? Do you have any stats on how well it actually translates on an ad?
I don't have them offhand. I can have my team pull it for you, but I will say QR codes, they're very fashionable, and I totally understand them for linear television because there's no other attribution model. It's all probabilistic other than like, with CTV, it's digital, so you have the deterministic pipes. There's some people who will actually scan it. You might have 15 seconds, 30 seconds for somebody to watch your commercial, and you're relying on them to reach in their pocket, pick out their phone, and do it. I think you have a much higher likelihood of making it very present where to visit afterwards and then having them take that action. Sure thing. Yes.
I know you're running short on time, but I've used Mountain, so like.
Oh, great.
They also offer companion ads to go with your CTV, so like that's another option for clicking. Like, so you see it on your television, and then you're on your device, and then ads will start showing up because they know, like I assume through IP address or something that you were just served the TV ad, so that the companion ads will come up, and we saw traffic to our site from the companion ads, so that's also like where you can like ensure there's a call to action.
Yeah, that is another option. If you want to toggle that on our platform, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm glad it's been working. That's good to hear. Any other questions? I'm also going to be available afterwards. I think we are done on time, but happy to keep chatting. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.